Welcome to the channel. Top tier informants. Make sure to like the video and subscribe. Today, we are going to take a look at the 10 biggest contracts ever signed in the NBA in terms of total value. While looking at these contracts, we will break down the average annual value of the deals as well as the players' ages by the time those contracts are up. We will weigh in on these contracts as it pertains to both current and future situations for each player and their respective teams as well. These are the 10 largest signed contracts in the history of the NBA. Number 10. Trae Young. Trae Young has been one of the most valuable players on offense over the last 3 seasons with the Atlanta Hawks. Young has shown the ability to not only create and score himself but also for his teammates, as he has led the NBA in both total points and total assists. As he is still just entering his prime, the Hawks were pretty much forced to reward him with a massive extension of his rookie deal, which they did beginning in 2022-23. Young's $215 million extension will keep him in Atlanta through the 2027 season, at which time he can seek a Supermax deal. In 2022, Young's extension was increased due to his All-NBA third-team selection by 30% of the salary cap. Young is undoubtedly a valuable asset for the Hawks moving forward and the player they would like to build around as they seek their first NBA title since 1958. They made sure Young would be a Hawk for at least the next 5 years. Now let's see what they can accomplish during that time. Number 9. Zach LaVine. In July 2022, the Chicago Bulls decided to recommit to their star shooting guard Zach LaVine with a 5-year, $215,200,000 deal. LaVine originally arrived in Chicago in a 2017 trade with the Minnesota Timberwolves that landed them Jimmy Butler. He was previously on a 4-year $78 million deal and became an unrestricted free agent before it took him all of 18 hours to re-sign with the Bulls in 2022. Leading up to his 2022 extension, LaVine averaged 24.4 PPG, 4.7 RPG, and 4.4 APG in 5 seasons with the Bulls, with 2 All-Star selections in 2021 and 2022. In the first year of his new deal, the 2022-23 season, LaVine made $37,096,500 but played 77 games for Chicago and averaged 24.8 PPG, 4.5 RPG, and 4.2 APG. There are rumors of a trade rumbling around the league this summer, as Chicago could be headed for another rebuild by the 2023-24 trade deadline, starting with the departure of LaVine and his massive contract. Number 8. Luka Doncic. Much like the player he was traded for on draft night back in 2018, Luka Doncic received the same 30% of the salary cap extension of his rookie deal as well. Doncic has been not only one of the best players from his draft class so far in his career but has quickly become one of the best players in the entire NBA. Doncic, who turns 24 next season, is already a 3-time All-NBA team selection and 3-time All-Star, so to say he earned the full extension is an understatement. This deal, like Young, will keep Luka under contract with the Dallas Mavericks through 2026-27. Annually, Doncic's deal kicked in with a salary of $37,096,500. That annual value will increase to $48,967,380 for the 2026-27 season. Considering the quality of player he has already become before even turning 25, chances are this will not be the last major contract he signs with Dallas or any other team who will want to hand him a Supermax deal. Number 7. Stephen Curry is more deserving than just about everybody on this list, given his body of work over the last decade. Over the last 9 seasons, Curry has been the focal point of a dynasty that has won 4 NBA championships, while individually, he has won a Finals MVP and 2 MVP awards while becoming the greatest shooter in NBA history. Curry's $215,353,664 extension in 2022 was not only warranted but historic in more than one way. With the drying of the ink on this deal, Curry became the first player in NBA history to sign 2 contracts worth $200 million or more. This 2022 extension is for 4 years, with the first year of his deal just being completed in 2022-23. Curry battled injuries this past season and watched the Warriors rebuild a bit around him with the addition of Chris Paul this offseason. By the final season of his deal in 2025-26, Stephen Curry will be earning $59,606,817 annually. Number 6. Giannis Antetokounmpo's deal is the oldest of any deal on this list, with his 5-year, $228 million extension that he inked with the Milwaukee Bucks in 2020. Giannis was coming off back-to-back MVP awards at the time of the extension, a deal that has paid him over $60 million since 2021. In the first year of his deal, the Bucks cashed in big time as he led them to their first NBA championship since 1971 with an all-time great performance. In 2022 and 2023, Milwaukee's chances were dashed early on in the playoffs, but Giannis performed at MVP caliber levels. As one of the best players in the world, Giannis continues to earn the entirety of his $228 million Supermax extension with the Bucks. With the deal expiring in 2026, Giannis is set to make over $45 million in 2023-24 and 2024-25, as well as just over $51 million in 2025-26. There is no doubt he will be worth the money and, perhaps by the looks of this list, a little underpaid. Number 5. Karl Anthony Towns qualified for the same Supermax extension as Devin Booker by making the All-NBA third team in 2021-22. Both players hold the record for largest 4-year contract in NBA history. He will be looking to bounce back from an injury-riddled down year that prevented the Minnesota Timberwolves from playing their new group together enough. Towns could become a trade candidate with an impending luxury tax crunch looming. The Wolves will be hard-pressed to go into the tax to pay all of Towns, Anthony Edwards, Rudy Gobert, and presumably Jaden McDaniels if they don't have a strong playoff run. Number 4. Devin Booker qualified for a Supermax extension after being named to the All-NBA first team in the 2021-22 season. He followed it up with an even stronger season scoring and efficiency-wise and several all-time great scoring performances in the playoffs. His extension is set to kick in the 2024-25 season when the Suns will pay him, Kevin Durant, and Bradley Beal at least $50 million each. Number 3. After having one of his strongest regular seasons, Bradley Beal hoped to qualify for the Supermax in 2019. When he didn't earn All-NBA honors, he was considered a candidate to lead the Wizards in 2020 when set to hit free agency. He instead signed a short-term maximum extension that would run through his 10th season. This allowed him to become a free agent and maximize his earnings with a 5-year deal worth 35% of the salary cap. His 5-year, $251 million deal also came with a no-trade clause and a player option, severely limiting his trade market this summer. Number 2. Nikola Jokic held by far the largest contract in the 2022-23 season when his 5-year, $276 million Supermax extension kicked in. He qualified for it in 2021 but had to wait a year to sign it to accrue the required years of service. The contract immediately paid dividends when Jokic led the Denver Nuggets to their first championship last month. Number 1. Jaylen Brown currently holds the belt for the largest contract in NBA history after agreeing to terms on a Supermax extension with the Celtics. It was reported with a $304 million figure, but that's if the cap rises by the 10% maximum. Right now, the NBA is projecting next year's cap to increase by 5%, which would put his deal in the $290 million range. His contract will be eclipsed next summer when teammate Jason Tatum presumably signs his Supermax extension, projected to exceed $300 million. This was the top 10 biggest contracts in NBA history. If you love this video, then please give a thumbs up, share, and don't forget to subscribe my channel.